She goes, his hipster. It's a little like riding a horse, a bull. That's insulting almost. Hi everyone, my name is Tia. I have 3 Allie Hazelwoods on my physical TBR, and then I have the rest of her books on audiobook, and I just thought, let's just make a day out of it. Let's just read all of Allie Hazelwood's books and see where they stand. I have yet to read a Hazelwood, so I'm honestly really excited. I'm very grateful to be a part of Libro FM's ALC program, which is, oh, you scared me, Figaro. You're being so creepy, Figgy. Oh my gosh. Ah. What is it? Audiobook influencer type of program. So they have early releases and audiobooks that haven't come out yet for us to review. And I downloaded Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. This came out, what, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago? We are gonna get started with Not in Love. So welcome to the vlog. I'm gonna do my makeup while we chit chat. I've been trying to do this thing where I at least get like 20 minutes of exercise, at least by 9 a.m. just to get my body moving, my blood pumping. I haven't been consistent with it. Oh, Vicky's here. I was listening to Not in Love during my walk. If you've been to my channel, you know that I don't really go into books knowing anything more than what the blurb gives you. If that. I'm really bad at like reading blurbs in general, so I actually haven't even read this blurb. But I know it's about like a hostile workplace takeover type of situation. Rue works at like a biotech company, and Eli bought the loan agreement. Ugh, whatever. She'll explain it to you in chapter 1 because I didn't know what that was either. I'm really enjoying the audiobook narrators. I feel like narrators can either make or break your reading experience, truly. His voice is very deep. Callie Dalton and Jason Clark. I like them so far. It's dual POV, thank God. They meet at a bar and this guy comes up to Rue and Eli sees her, so he goes up to them. He's all like this and he's like pretty sexy and stuff like that. And then he goes, "It's none of your business, bro. Leave us alone." The other guy, and I was like, oh wow, that's a lot. It made me laugh out loud on my walk. This is the first time I've not gotten it on my eyelid in literally my entire 25 years of living. That's my hamper. Bye. It's only been like an hour and a half since I last talked to you. I am 16% of the way through now. I'm on chapter 6 and I'm gagged. First, the audiobook narrators are so good. The way that they did this audiobook narration. Okay. The male main character will talk to Rue in Rue's POV, but instead of Rue voicing Eli, Eli is voicing Eli in Rue's POV. Oh, it makes such a big difference. It makes such a big difference. Like I can't even remember if they did it in the beginning and I just didn't even realize that. I'm having so much fun. I'm already 16% of the way through. I am eating this up at 1.9 speed. It is quite physical attraction heavy, like already very much they're into each other, but I'm still enjoying it so much. And so is Mr. Figaro. Literally going into a meeting in 3 minutes, but I will indeed be thinking about this during the meeting. I will. Hi, vlog. Now I'm starving because all I had today was coffee. Chips and guac and salsa. Mango, pineapple. We have a lot of fruit. Oh, I was having a blast with this audiobook. It was so much fun, and this is actually Mickey's homemade guacamole. I swear, if she was not pursuing higher education, we would be spending our weekends at a farmer's market, absolutely selling out of this delicious, scrumptious, I'm literally doing a happy dance. Her guacamole is the best. I wish I could give it to you guys to try. This is my favorite salsa right now. It's just the Trader Joe's mild kind of salsa, and then we chop up a tomato to make it less salty and we add it into it, and I'm having so much fun kicking, giggling my feet with this audiobook. I love Eli's sister, especially. Her dialogue is so funny. I am a self-proclaimed pickle girl. They didn't have the fresh dill at the grocery store, so I've been watching a lot of pickle ASMR lately, and I finally grabbed this, the Van Holten. This is like a gas station type of pickle, but I've been seeing it everywhere. I didn't know that literally one whole pickle is 80% of your entire sodium intake for the day. I regrettably will not be eating this whole thing, but I wanted to try it with you. Oh, splashed me. Oh my. That smells so good. It smells like those McDonald's pickles, you know, the ones that are kind of flat and flaccid. Cheers! Oh my gosh, what the? This is why you cannot ever trust people on the internet. This is like a pretty okay pickle. I've had much better. Clausens. Okay, but if you don't like Clausens and you've tried it before and you like pickles, you have to get the quartered ones. I used to think that buying quartered pickles were a scam because you're like paying for like less pickle, but the brine or something is completely different. The halves taste different. The wholes taste not good. Quartered Clausens is where it's at. This is like a 6.5 max. And also it comes in a bag, so it's like so inconvenient. I'm gonna put this in a container. At least my curiosity is satiated. I'm so thirsty right now. Let me tell you, I am now on chapter 10, 27% of the way through. So I only have 4 hours, 21 minutes left. I feel like this is breaching into the romance subgenre of like, I don't know what to call it, but like Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez has a very adorable cover. Definitely not as lighthearted as the cover makes it seem like. In Not in Love, they are definitely dealing with like a traumatic past, traumatic childhood. This looks like legit biowarfare, like a biochemical hazard. Yum. I guess I thought it would be light and fluffy, happy, silly, goofy. Ali Hazelwood is kind of known for very tropey fan fiction-esque. Those are her like writing roots. One, I love fan fiction. I'm not mad about it. I just think there's a time and place, and traditional publishing, I feel like there's right now a very blurry line, which I find odd, but that's a whole different video. But I like how we are learning about these two romance main characters aside from one another. This is my genuine real-time reaction of listening to chapter 10. If you know, you know. I don't even need to say words for this part, but so far, obviously you could tell I'm having so much fun with this audiobook. I really enjoy how they're both very obviously faulted people and are sharing like very vulnerable parts of themselves while also still very much being very attracted to one another. And I like how they're very much acting as each other's kind of safe space and being able to stay vulnerable with one another without feeling like they're gonna lose one another, because there isn't necessarily that super close-knit connection yet. Today was obviously chore day. I did my laundry. I was doing my bed sheets. My bedding is for sure my least favorite chore. It like, why is it an impossible task genuinely to get your freaking sheets on the bed? Why is it so difficult? Oh, good morning. My dentist just texted me about my appointment. I'm on 61% of Not in Love. I'm on chapter 23 and I am having fun. I'd say after like chapter 15, 16, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit tired of the dynamic of Rue being so like morally exhausted from the ethical implications of their hostile takeover workplace sexual relationship, and Eli being literally head over heels, absolutely obsessed, die for her type of feelings for Rue. Like, I get it. I do. He said it a million times that he's obsessed, and I understand you, Eli. Women are beautiful, but I'm like, when are we moving on? I don't know. I don't usually read this kind of like very smut forward romance. I like it when there's like important plot. I do appreciate learning more about Rue and like why she studies what she does and like how she cares so much about food insecurity. And that stuff to me is very important to her character. It's very important to talk about. And the fact that Eli wants to cook for her and stuff like that, I'm like, that's so cute. But then he goes to talk about her body. I'm like, you fumbled it. You fumbled it. So I'm hoping I can just like get it out of the way today. I woke up at like 5 in the morning today. That means I've been up for 5 hours, which like really doesn't happen. It's only 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, my day is so long. It has been a few days since I've updated you. I finished Not in Love and I started another Ali Hazelwood. But before we move on, just to recap my thoughts about Not in Love, I'd say I was entertained at the very beginning. Her writing was fun. I was like getting to know these characters. By the middle of the book, I was like, okay, are we getting anywhere plot-wise? It was really heavily smut coded. And I don't knock books for that, especially because she said this was erotic romance. So like I knew what I was getting into going into it. But at the same time, that's not what makes me connected to the characters when they're physically intimate. So I'd say the last quarter of the book, lots of things were happening at that point. That was really engaging. I was like, ooh, something different. More characters were getting involved. The plot was moving forward. At the end of the day, I think I had a lot of, not issues, but there were just so many things I was like, why would he say that? Like, it literally took me out of the story because I was like, what? That's not good. There are too many offhanded comments about his fiance, like that really weird comment where he was like, oh, there's a universe in which I did get married and we met and I would feel this pull towards you even though I was a married man. I was like, is that supposed to be romantic that you like That's not okay still. I'm so confused. And I feel like his love for her honestly came off as kind of one-dimensional because of how intense and emotional his connection was towards her, despite the fact that they were only kind of really getting close in these last couple weeks and all they were doing is getting physically intimate. I want more. I need more from these two. So overall, I gave it a 3 stars. It wasn't like an awful romance. The writing was really entertaining, I think. I feel like the plot kind of lost me. But the next book I started on, I have Check and Mate from my library. I'm already on chapter 9 and I'm 32% of the way into the book. So I've read like 3 hours of the audiobook and this is her YA debut, I believe. And I am loving it. Not in Love and Check and Mate are on opposite sides of the spectrum, absolutely. One being that this is a YA, this was erotic. So Mallory and Nolan, again, did not read this blurb. I just know it's about chess. I was actually in the chess club in 5th grade, had a little keychain to prove it and everything because my brother was into it. So of course, whatever my older brother did, I had to do. 30% of the way through the book, Mallory and Nolan haven't even really connected that much or like interacted that much, which is something I find so refreshing compared to last time when Eli was literally obsessed with, I already forgot her name. I'm so bad at that. But there was like an insta love there. But this one, they are very like intellectually intrigued by one another, which is like so adorable. I think that's great. The writing is pretty funny. All the side characters are very outlandishly absurd. Like Mallory's 18 and all her adult colleagues at this chess club are like very obviously so millennially coded. So I'm having a lot more fun with Check and Mate, honestly. It's such a blast. And I'm loving the little tiny moments of tension we're getting between Nolan and Mallory across the chessboard. I'm really having fun with it. First order of business, this album is on repeat. Well, actually, that's not true. I have favorites. Close to You, Risk, Us. I Love You, I'm Sorry, Let It Happen, and Tough Love. It has been less than 24 hours since I updated you, but I read an obscene amount of Check and Mate yesterday because of how much I love it. I'm loving it. I literally only have 40 minutes left, so that means I read 6 or 7 hours of audiobook yesterday. Oh, that's so much reading, but I'm flying through it. I want a physical copy. I want to annotate it. I love how the romance is progressing. It's exactly the pace that I like in my books, in my romance books. I was gonna say that I feel like this leaned more towards new adult rather than young adult, like the premise said. Oh, do you hear that? Oh, grab it. Oh, you got it. Grab it. Grab it, hero. Oh, do you need help? Let me get his ball. This is his favorite ball. Our protagonist is 18. She is... I love her. I really do. Mallory. And then Nolan. They're both very white names. Is 20, I believe. So like I was like, oh, this is probably new adult. But then we got to her communication skills and like her ability to articulate her feelings, and I was like, oh, this is so young adult. I mean, they both have a lot going on. Her especially, we focus more on her familial turmoil, and I honestly love Allie Hazelwood's young adult. I feel like it is so relatable and so like, I'm 25 now. For example, Mallory is not going to college for like reasons kind of not outside of her control necessarily, but she thinks they are, and her friend are kind of losing their closeness because Mallory feels really left behind. And I went to community college when all my close friends, not one close friend of mine stayed in state or went to the community college that I had to make entirely new friends. Like they were all leaving, and I just remember feeling so like, you're 17, you feel like your world is over. I know better now, but I acknowledge that at the time that is how I felt, and I'll never forget that feeling. It was so lonely. Hearing Mallory kind of talk about that with her and her friend, like I really did resonate. And sometimes YA is hard for me because, you know, I'm obviously out of the target demographic, but for it to feel relatable still, I was like, oh, this is so, like, I'm really enjoying it. Oh, I literally only have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 chapters left and the epilogue. I would not be surprised if this lands in 5 stars for me. I cannot remember one complaint I have. Like, I don't think I have any. I also really love how they focus on like women in leadership and like having a women mentor in a male dominated field. I mean, Hazelwood touched on it too, and Not in Love, women being in STEM and stuff, but I think it's really refreshing and really nice that Allie, as if I know her, Hazelwood talks about that gender inequity, and I'm enjoying it so much. The writing is funny. Everything about it, I'm loving. I forgot to mention, I've been thinking about Check and Mate all day, to be honest. I started Love Theoretically, we'll talk about it later, it doesn't even matter right now. And when he said, mind you, I didn't even write this down, I listened to the audiobook, and it's just seared into my brain because When Nolan said, "I think about this every second of every day." Miss Allie, thank you. Yep. I'm blind without my glasses on. It's been like a day since we last spoke. Firstly, I color coordinated the color of the cover to my little bookmark things. They don't look that great when they're like side by side, but on the side, I stayed up till like midnight. I think I read like 250 pages of this book, which is so not like me. I am flying through this book. It's a physical copy too. So usually in bed, it's Kindle time. Me and my Kindle have a date in the nighttime, but me and my lamp and this book yesterday were just flying through love theoretically. Wait, I have notes. Especially since I'm reading Hazelwood's books kind of back to back, I feel like I've gotten used to her formulaic story. So one, Miss Hazelwood loves to write a neglectful family. It's very sad. And in all of her books, the neglect of the family ends up causing our female main character to minimize herself for other people. Real, so real. She wrote this for the girls. And then without fail, our male main character is always the one to appreciate the real her. Not in Love was very much like that. Check and Mate, which I really did like, also like that. This one is the epitome of her formulaic story of that. Elsie and Jack, they are both physicists, except Elsie is an adjunct professor. She absolutely hates her job right now. But Jack rules over the physics department at MIT, and he's basically standing in the way of Elsie and her dream job at MIT working under him. They end up not liking each other at the very beginning, or so she thinks. I am loving Jack. It's just so adorable seeing the men be so pliant towards what the woman wants and what the woman needs, trying to like be that person for them. Beautiful, beautiful. I honestly have such a soft spot for Elsie in this book. She's talking to him. Fine, you got me. I want people to like me, and I give them the me they want. I enjoy getting along with others. Gasp. Report me to the authenticity police for aiding and abetting. She's so like unforgivably herself with Jack, and I find that like so like, oh, that's such a sweet dynamic. Like she feels so comfortable and he sees her. He sees her. I'm on page 308, and mind you, I started this yesterday. I'm so happy with how much I'm enjoying Hazelwood's writing style. The dialogue is genuinely funny. Like, I don't know if it's the millennial in me. I wouldn't say it's top notch, like, oh, your mind is gonna be blown, but I'm flying through all of her books and I'm having a good time no matter what, which is not always the case with contemporary romance. I feel like it can be kind of overkill. I'm kind of obsessed with Jack. Oh my gosh. She tells him, I think a lot about how much I hate you. I say with no conviction. I think a lot about how much you hate me too. His smile is tender. When's the last time you had someone in your life you could be completely honest with, Elsie? Oh, come on. Really quickly, I don't know why I didn't open this with you, but I got this in the mail literally today. Feast while you can. What a sexy cover. There's a woman, right? Her mouth's wide open. And I'm assuming that is someone's hand on her cheek, question mark? Is it caressing? Is it threatening? So let's see what this is about together. Angelina Seco was born and raised in the ugly remote town of Caldense. She walks her mongrel dog, attends her brother's heavy metal concerts, holds court in the local dive bar, and baits hot queer women to her conservative hometown. Wait, why did they send this to me? Am I also a hot queer woman? The answer is yes. Angelina runs into Patrick's ex, the sternly handsome Jogby. Perhaps enticed by Jogby's arrival, an ancient evil lying dominant is awakened, and soon Angelina's small contained world begins to shatter. This monster feasts on all the obsession, heartbreak, and mess that makes up a life, and Angelina Seco's life has never looked tastier. What will Angelina do to protect her future, and what will it cost her? Thank you, Grand Central Publishing, for blessing me with this. This sounds so good. I'm so glad you guys sent this over. This comes out October 29th this year, and I'll let you guys know how I like this. Aside from physical books, I've got a lot going on today. Started Bride. I got a lucky loan from my Libby Hold library, which means you get it for a shorter period of time, but you get it early, so I got to skip, I think it was like quite a long wait. I have it borrowed on Kindle right now, but it's nice that I have the audiobook too. I'm on chapter 7 right now, and I'm not ashamed to say I read ABO fan fiction, but I will not tell you about it. You have to go find it on Reddit or in the group chat somewhere else. That's not me, what that means. But I have been very excited to read Bride. From chapter 1, I was invested. I'm invested. And I really like Misery. And what I like about it is we're already a quarter way through and we don't know that much about Lo. So like that's really intriguing to me. My 4th Hazelwood in less than a week. Which is crazy. But I'm having an absolute romp. It's so fun. Her books are so easy to binge. They're so easily digestible. So I'm having a great time. I just ate some late night cereal, Lucky Charms. I'm now on page 328 and I hate their smut. I'm not into it at all. It's so much. It's like I feel like we got to his apartment and like and now I'm also dreading their 3rd act breakup because surely there will be one, as there have been in the other 2. And I'm like, oh my god, they're so happy. Please let them be. But I definitely want to move on and just read Bride. Like, I think if I wasn't gung-ho on finishing all of her books soon for a video, I'd probably DNF this just because this I hate. Obviously, if you like it, I'm happy for you. I want to like it. Like, I'm not yucking anyone's yum. I'm just simply stating my opinion. It was going so well for me too. I am now 94% Bride. I know. My reading updates are slowly but surely getting less frequent because I'm starting to binge these books. I will try and slow it down for the next few. But I do think I am reading this so quickly because it's such a nice breath of fresh air compared to her other books. Comparing these two, this one I finished last night, this one I'm going to finish in like 20 minutes. I like this one so much more. One, I'm biased because I do like werewolves. The conflict between the two of them makes so much more sense than what happened near the end of this book. Anyway, I'm reading it so fast. I think I stayed up to like 2 or 3 last night. This stands out as one of the most different Allie Hazelwoods, not just because he's a werewolf, but the actual character of the two. Yes, Misery is awkward and she was neglected by her family, but there are elements of her personality that don't necessarily remind me of her other characters. And Lo, our love interest, I feel like is the most different of these huge burly men with big palms. Like he has big paws now. I think being in that leadership role and also having that dynamic of like the wolf pack behind him and he having to take care, not like a family, but he does have a different element than just Misery to take care of and to consider, which is kind of refreshing compared to the other characters. So that's why I'm enjoying this one. Fell asleep at the pool today. Love that for me. Before I took my nap, I did end up finishing Bride. First, Target haul. I missed my essentials. Okay, I needed some more body wash. This, I really like how this smells. It smells very clean. If you don't like smelling like vanilla-y or fruity, this is the cucumber green tea, but it just smells so clean. Smell. Ew. And then if you're in the market for any kind of toner, if you have acne prone skin, because I have very oily skin, literally look no further than this. I have been using this exact product. I mean, granted, they changed the formula like 2 or 3 years ago and I'm still mad about it, but it still works. I've been using this since middle school and I'm 25 now. It's like 12 years. I am so loyal to Neutrogena. It's concerning. If they change their formula, I will know because of how serious our relationship is. So hooray. I ended up giving Bride a 4 stars just because I think it is so much more out of her comfort zone than I expected. And it was quite different than her other ones. It was still a little bit formulaic, but as all contemporary romances are, I think this is a good way to ease people into paranormal romances. I was very, very happy that she stepped out of her comfort zone. In her author's note, she said that she loves like ABO and she really wanted to write this. And I'm so happy that she did. Again, her dialogue is funny. I'd say the writing is like quite elementary. Not in a bad way though. It's just very easy to read. It's like no thoughts, just enjoying yourself reading a book. So Bride. Now I only have 2 more and I'm like getting a little romanced out. I mean, this year I've read like 50 books and I'd say at least half of them, at least, have been like just generally contemporary romance, which it's not like it's disappointing, but I do feel like I want to branch out and I need to branch out, so I might take a pause on this video. Read like a lit fic or a mystery or something and then get back to it. But I only have 2 left. I feel like these are the 2 that I've been putting off because I don't think I'll like Love Hypothesis. All I know about it is that like he sticks her whole boob in his mouth or something. I don't know. And then Love on the Brain, I just don't love the cover. I like the Love Theoretically cover so much more, so just kind of so-so about these two. But that's good. I like when I go into books with low expectations because then I rarely get disappointed. If I don't like it, I'm like, I thought so. And if I like it, I'm like, I liked it. So good morning. Today's Sunday. I haven't spoken to you in this video in a couple days because I set up my new desk, my new office space. I actually love it. And then yesterday, my brother's girlfriend got me, hold on, literally the cutest piece of cookware, houseware that I'm ever gonna own. She gave me my birthday present. This is so sweet. I got 2, so I'm literally currently drinking coffee out of it right now. And honestly, I drink way more coffee than this on a daily basis, so I'm simply just gonna continue to refill this. So I'm gonna drink like 4 of these bad boys today. In terms of this book, first of all, let's hear it for the color coordination of my little stickies. I'm on chapter 12, which is a little bit less than half of the book. I've read this much. I'm doing joint with the physical and the audio, so that's why I don't really have any stickies. But I also don't really have any stickies because she, I think, is my least favorite female main character right now. I do like B, and I love how smart she is, how driven she is, how intelligent and capable she is. I love everything about that, okay? It's the way that she keeps interrupting him. B doesn't listen to Levi at all. Levi is trying to explain, okay, long story short, they went to grad school, kind of overlapping, not really, they didn't really know each other, but Levi supposedly hates her. He cannot speak to her, he cannot really function around her, and she's like, this guy hates me. And now they're essentially working together because she is a neuroscientist, he is the head engineer of this like joint NIH NASA project, and they finally kind of broken the ice. She's like, I'm sorry that you have to like deal with me and you hate me, all this stuff, and he's like, he's so confused, poor guy. He's like, well, wait, I don't. And then she's like, it's fine. Like, don't even worry about it, whatever. I'm like, can you let him finish one sentence in his life, please? I get that it's to drag the plot along. I totally understand that. But it's just, it makes her come off as kind of not mindful of his, you know, what he's saying, like what he's thinking. She doesn't let him speak. And I don't know. They mentioned something about her twin sister. And I'm like, if this is going where it's going, I cannot see it being good. How is this going to turn out well? Oh my god. So I feel like not this is the most outlandish because love theoretically was quite outlandish. I wish their interactions were a little bit more, I wish they had a little bit more weight to them. Like this poor guy is trying. But then there's also like a you've got mail type of situation where they're kind of DMing on Twitter, which like they don't know it's each other. That's cute. That specific thing in books, gets me every time. She's brought up his big hands like a billion times already. And she's also, I saw the quote where she's wearing galaxy leggings like it's 2012, which is like so unfortunate. She can be smart and intelligent and she could be a little socially awkward without having to wear the galaxy leggings. Like what? There's no need. But overall, I mean, I'm getting through it really fast. Albeit I'm enjoying it less than the others, but still, I will keep you updated. Oh my god, with my glasses, this is everything. I am a woman in STEM, and I also read romance books. Miss Allie Hazelwood, how I love you. I do really enjoy that about her books. In all our STEM romance books, the female main character is always so passionate and driven and very much capable of achieving what she wants in the specific field that they're passionate about, and I think that's so important. So I think that's really cool. I'm on page 193. They work at NASA and they work at the NIH. So they're talking about like being an astronaut. Levi tried to apply for the astronaut corps. And the reason why he didn't make it is because he's too tall. You can't be shorter than 5'1", but you cannot be taller than 6'2". And then B says, I briefly contemplate the notion that neither Levi nor I fall within astronaut height requirements, but for drastically different reasons. They are more than a foot in height difference. This is the most outlandish one yet. What, is Love Hypothesis gonna be 2 feet of height difference? Like, that's so much height difference. That's like me and Hero. He's so sleepy. Again, I think her male main characters are funny. Like, their banter is like pretty lighthearted and funny, and I am into it. I just think that is super ridiculous. Hi vlog. Okay, wait, first there are updates. I crocheted yet another coaster just because I needed it since it's a glass top. I really don't want to scratch it up. So this one is blue. I've got a pink one already. And then one more thing. Let me stand on this chair. I got this dress for $7 at Macy's. Are you kidding me? Isn't that cute? Super happy with that. I'm tricking myself into dressing really cute so I can like be super productive today, because I did wake up a little bit later than I usually do and I don't like that. But I'm gonna forgive myself because it is what it is. The day is still long. I still have lots of time ahead of me. It's okay. This book is... There are some parts that I do like. For example, I mentioned they're doing that like anonymous back and forth on Twitter. He tells her via DM, he says, I want to push her against a wall and I want her to push back. I want to go back in time and punch her stupid husband, blah, 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 right? Finally, they kiss, which I do like how it's like a ways into the book and they're only just, you know, that's nice. But I'm not gonna tell you when, so you could figure out for yourself. But this is in her POV because everything else besides Not in Love is not dual POV. It's just from our female main character, which I'm fine with. But he pushes me against the wall and I push back and back and back, like there can be no air between us. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was good. That was a good tie-in. I get it. Also, now we are getting, it's just so ridiculous. The miscommunication in this book specifically is quite frustrating because it is a lot of, not made up, but granted, miscommunication is hard to do. Obviously, if they just talk to each other a little bit better, there would be no issue. But if she just let him finish a sentence, or if she just used her brain, her genius neuroscientist brain, he asked her on a date. In her head, she's insisted that it's not a date. It's like, dude, you dressed up for it. He picked you up. Like, it's a date. And while they're boning, which her writing has gotten so much better. If you like this, I'm all for it. I wish I liked this, but I do think her quality of writing and her quality of smut got better. She goes, his hips jerk. It's a little like riding a horse, a bull. That's insulting almost, right? I can't believe she wrote that. And it's like right in the middle too, and it completely takes out of it. Why am I picturing a horse? Why would you do that to me? This is on you, Allie. I'm very happy to say that I'm an Allie fan now. Like, I really do enjoy her writing, but this one is just not doing it for me. I'm quite frustrated with how B is progressing in the book. Like, I feel like if anything, she has been stagnant and Levi has been not allowed to grow as a character because she won't let him finish a sentence. If I look crazy, I just came back from like a 1.5 mile walk. I feel really good. It's like 7:30. I was listening to this audiobook from my library on my walk and it returned while I was listening to it. I didn't know that libraries did that. That's so mean. I was literally at 94%. So surely I have like maybe that much. I didn't even check yet. And then I started Love Hypothesis because I had to, because it returned itself. So I'm gonna go take a shower. I'm so sweaty. And then we are gonna finish this. I have lots of thoughts. Firstly, like the whole thing I mentioned, like, oh, I want to push her against the wall. She pushes back. I thought it was cute. But then Allie Hazelwood herself mentioned it to me. Like, she pointed out. I'm like, girl, I can read. Like, I noticed, you know? She made it quite obvious. And then she put it in the book. I'm like, wait, the whole point of it is to like kind of be subtle, not subtle. But then you were like outright said it. So it made it less cute. And her villain, the bad guys are, it's like a cartoon movie type of villain. Like, they come out of the woodwork and they are the epitome. Like, how evil can you get a contemporary romance bad guy to be? But apparently this one is awful. Speechless, truly. I think it's safe to say that I'm disliking this. I'm actively not having a good time. It's ridiculous. I wish she would stand up for herself more. I wish she wouldn't assume everything and anything. And she just doesn't communicate. With all her other books, there is some obvious trauma. They have a very neglectful family usually. This one, she does indeed have a sad backstory, but the way that they go about building her character is like, honestly, they don't build it at all. The to-do list today is a couple meetings, some work. This is going to a little free library. I'm gonna give it a solid 2 stars. I wanted to like this so much more, but overall, it was very one-dimensional. Not only was the story formulaic, but it was also very one-dimensional. There was like a sapphic side romance that I wanted to root for, but they were so flat. And then just like the ending of it all rubbed me the wrong way. Why would Rocio say that to her boss about the whole letter of recommendation thing? She goes like, oh, well, if you write me a letter of recommendation, make sure you put that like I've had sex with like the hottest girl ever. That's your boss. Don't. Oh my god, just what? A lot of things in this book I was like, wow, I can't believe that this got published. I appreciate the sentiment about the inequities of standardized testing in graduate schools and stuff like that. I feel like, when was this written? Oh, 2022. For example, my girlfriend, she goes to veterinary school. She had to take the GRE. The graduate school that I'm applying to, they thankfully have since waived the GRE requirements. So like we don't have any standardized testing anymore. And I do think that that helps. So maybe, hopefully, grad schools are like, I don't know about PhD programs, but some master's programs are kind of weaning away from GRE. And that's nice. She does talk about important stuff in these books, but this one, pass. And then I'm only on page 24. I fell asleep last night of The Love Hypothesis. This is Allie Hazelwood's tried and true baby. Like, this got her famous. Already, it's very cringe. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe I'll fly through it. I was listening to the audiobook, and in the first 1%, it's mentioned how big his hand is when they do a handshake, and like his hand completely swallows her entire forearm or something ridiculous. But I was like, oh wow, that's like a new record. I feel like it was mentioned basically in the prologue that he's so much bigger. I already knew he was, but for it to be mentioned in the first like 10 pages, whatever. I'm having so much fun, and I truly did not expect that. So firstly, the shirt, I know it's like kind of an odd shirt. I wear it every 4th of July because I bought it in middle school at Brandy Melville on sale. And like, this is not a shirt I would originally wear out ever, but like for the festivities, my little neighborhood is very sweet, and we do a little potluck, picnic, kind of street party situation. It's very wholesome. So literally, middle school, I've worn this this is like my 10th time wearing it. And it's pretty cute. This book is so much better than Love on the Brain. I can totally see why this made her famous. It's adorable. Yes, she did sit on his lap in an academic presentation. Yes, I would rather die than that happen to me. But it's not like she's jumping into these things like, oh, this is a great idea. She is consistently like, oh my God, everyone is gonna judge us. What are we gonna do? And Adam is the one to be like, it's okay. Like, let's take it one by one. She's being very rational while also being very smitten. Whereas Love on the Brain, she was being irrational, not listening to anyone, making me miserable. This is doing the opposite. I think it's quite adorable how they're trying to get to know each other while at the same time being very accommodating of one another. And I think Jasper or Malcolm, I forgot his name, but one of them isolated virgin fruit flies, and that's what I used to do in my research lab. I can recognize the females from the male ones and the virgins versus the non-virgins. That was like my job, so I thought that was really cool. All the characters are quite likable. An is Vietnamese. I don't love how her personality is like diversity. I do wish she was a little bit more fleshed out, but I feel like since this is my last Allie Hazelwood, she very much emphasizes women in STEM and diversity in STEM throughout her whole book, so I know she's not doing it just to do it. But still, I wish her best friend had a character trait that's not cornerstone Asian person in a book and also loves her boyfriend. Besides that, I'm really liking it. I feel like she also could have developed Adam a little bit better because everyone else is saying like he's such a like stick in the mud, all this stuff, he's awful. But then to her, he is literally an angel. So it's like, okay, well that's not really. Ignore the mess in the back. This is not looking good, you guys. I'm getting bored. I want to start skimming and I'm 200 pages in. So I'm like halfway through. No, a little bit more than halfway through. At this point, there's already been so much miscommunication or misunderstanding, and Olive now understands that she does have a crush on Adam. If she just communicated how down bad she is for the person who's also down bad for her, this book would be over. And that's what's making me upset because I'm tired. What is even going to happen in this few pages that he sucks her boob off her body? Or I don't need that. It could have been so much shorter. It could have been like max 250 pages and I still think I would have enjoyed it. And you know what sucks? You know what I noticed? I noticed that in Love Theoretically, I pointed out a quote that was like, I hate you. And he's like, I think about how much you hate me too. And he's all tender about it. And I thought that was so cute. Pause. Page 210. I hate you, she told him, sullen. His mouth twitched. I know. You plagiarized yourself. We're basically talking about the same thing. Like, I know that it's different, but it's really the same sentiment, and now it's less cute in both books. What? Ignore my junk. My uncle invited me to a Dodgers game tonight. I'm very excited. So I've got my outfit already planned out. I'm now 255 pages into Love Hypothesis. So I'm like at the 67% mark, I think, on the audiobook. No one told me that there would be, not that I looked it up, which I should be doing. I highly encourage everyone to use trigger warnings. Like use the list of trigger warnings that people provide for books, because then you'll avoid feeling how I feel. But there's like verbal sexual harassment from a supervisor in this book for Olive, and I just felt so awful for her. It was so brutal to read. That was really tough. So be mindful that I'd say like 3/5 of the way through the book there is quite a heavy scene verbally, a little bit of physical touch, but no like sexual assault. It's more sexual harassment, I'd say, as a trigger warning. Thankfully we are past that. Now we are talking to Adam. I'm so surprised. I think Adam might be my favorite Ali Hazelwood male main character. I'm so pleasantly surprised. I feel like he's so thoughtful. Granted, he is a little bit more mature than, let's say, Nolan from Check and Mate. He's 34. Olive, I think, is 24 or 25 or 26, and he's 36. He's in his mid-30s. Do with that what you will. I don't really have any strong opinions because they're both consenting adults. Yes, 10 years is like kind of a big age gap, but I don't really have an issue with this. If you do, I totally understand, and that's valid. But he has had so much time to reflect about his mid-20s and what he didn't agree with about his supervisor. I think he's grown so much and learned so much. Really is very intentional with being a good role model, or at least a good supervisor to his graduates, rather than what he had to experience. And I respect him so much for that. I think this is such a good example of how not to turn a bad experience into like bitterness, like changing for the better and being a resource for younger folk. I think is so valuable, especially in academia. I think it is really important to have a strong mentor, someone who can guide you, someone who can trust, who's really looking out for the benefit of you, not themselves. It sounds very much like Adam does that, and yes, he's blunt about it, but he's, again, doing it for his students, doing it for the good of academia as a whole. And that's just something you can really respect. Like, I feel like we learn a lot about Adam in chapters 13, 14, 15 that really make him grow in you. And I'm so surprised. I'm so happy about that. And I really think he's good for Olive. I think Olive can do with a little bit more self-confidence and self-assurance. And that, again, just comes with age and time and experience. But Adam, I think, boosting her morale and her confidence and being able to see her in a way that she doesn't see herself is so beautiful. I actually love them. What a whirlwind. I did not expect to like this as much as I am, which is great. Dodgers game bound, baby. That's why I look pretty. Wait, let me show you. Marshalls, sometimes they have these on sale. My girlfriend got me the Shohei jersey on Amazon, so it's a knockoff. I thrifted these jeans in high school. They're Calvin Klein, and they used to be hella baggy, but alas, they either shrunk or my body grew, as one body does, which is fine. But now they fit like just a little bit baggy. And then this is my favorite sports bra in the whole world. This is from the Under Armour outlet. It's like padded already, and I wear it as a shirt just all the time. All my videos, I feel like you can see me wearing one. It's the perfect fit. I'm feeling so summer, right? It's great. On that summer vibe, I actually just finished this in the pool, and then I put it down, I took a nap, and I ruminated on my thoughts about it, and simply, I gave it a 3 stars. Mostly because I don't think it deserves a 4 stars, and I do have these, but it just wasn't good enough for 4 stars. But I will say that this was so much more enjoyable than I was expecting it to be. I totally see why it went Book Talk famous. If I didn't read very high quality romances this year, How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwan, Kennedy Ryan, if I have never read an Emily Henry before, I'd be like, this was so enjoyable. So I totally see how it could kind of get its feet off the ground. But at the same time, I do feel like the ending was so clean and simple. It was almost like, oh my god, there's something in my eye. Allie, I'm sorry that I called it a 3-star. I get out of my eyeball. Everything was so clean cut and dry. I was like, there's no more. I mean, thank gosh it was resolved, the sexual harassment. But at the same time, the ending and the double date, it was cute, but it was also like, I feel like she has since run with this ending and just kind of used it for all her other books. He has saved her from, like, for example, yes, academia notoriously does not pay well. So like they conveniently find a rich boyfriend and move in with them. And it's like, okay, I don't really love that. What about, she's fallen into the trap of introducing like new scientists or women who are only in the beginning of their career to a very well-established man already. And I'm like, I don't love that dynamic. I really don't. It kind of upsets me a little bit. But I truly think I love Adam. Yeah, the boob thing wasn't even that big of a deal. Literally 2 lines. I feel like people made way too big of a deal out of it. The editor did her dirty by keeping that in. The smut was like not great. It wasn't her worst one, surprisingly, but it was still like, okay. But I respect him. I really do, which is something that I don't feel that way about the other men that Allie writes. So it is time for me to go cheer my butt off for Shohei. It's also his 30th birthday today. That's so fun. I love the Dodgers. I'm so excited to spend time with family, friends, and stuff like that. It'll be great. So I will have my final thoughts and rankings coming soon. Let's address the elephant in the room. The sun is blinding me. You can even see your little shadow on my clavicle. I don't know. Clavicle's over here. But my hair today, you guys, my bun is bunning so hard. I could not let this go to waste. So it's been a few weeks since we last spoke. I unfortunately contracted COVID, and it gave me like a week and a half to really marinate with Allie Hazelwood and how I feel about her books. So today I need a javel. Order in the court. We are ranking Allie Hazelwood's books. Before we get to my rankings, let's just get this out of the way. I feel like I have some thoughts overall about the author. And excuse me while I look down at my judge's notes. So I think I read 6 Allie Hazelwood books in the span of 10 days. And because of that, I think I can confidently say, especially because, you know, I read them back to back to back to back rather than being a fan of her for a long time and reading them every few months as they come out, because she be cranking out books. Generally, she writes the same man in a different font. And all of those fonts are indeed capitalized letters because the man in question is gargantuan. He is of ginormous proportions, never seen before. You mix big burly man, huge hands, with a quirky, generally insecure woman. Our female main character typically has a family who's made it seem like she's not worthy of love. She throws in some kind of emotional neglect, sometimes from childhood, mostly from childhood or like prepubescent adolescent years. So she feels like she's not really a whole person. Like if our female main characters went to therapy, the therapist could sniff out her obvious character flaw from 3 miles away. But our big burly guy loves and embraces her, not despite her flaws, but because of them. Cue Jack saying to Elsie, when was the last time you trusted anyone? When was the last time you let someone help you? Or whatever he said. That hit. Yeah. And then she has like an almost unbelievably villainous character, like so villainous that it ends up being to a goofy extent. Typically, this villain is a trusted mentor, a boss, some kind of authority figure, someone who is supposed to be good, but turns out to be literally the most evil human being to walk the planet. They're constantly trying to manipulate our female main characters. Sometimes they're plotting world domination. Sometimes they're holding a gun to our female lead's head. What really stood out to me, I think, about her books, and I think what a lot of people praise Allie Hazelwood for, as you know, I think the books are great because they offer some really refreshing, just cool takes about being a woman in STEM. I think she tries to tackle certain obstacles or certain negative feelings that women in STEM specifically may feel to their profession because of these negative experiences, men, or just how the scientific community has been in the last several decades. She points out wealth disparities, racial inequity, the value of having a women mentorship kind of relationship during professional growth, and a lot of very important and pertinent topics that I feel like not a lot of other contemporary romances talk about. I mean, I haven't really read a lot of contemporary romances that have women in very like quite advanced STEM careers, just, you know, because I mean, Allie Hazelwood said herself she's from, I think she's a neuroscientist, literally, I think, which is amazing. And she writes romance books, and I feel like a lot of people think maybe that's out of their wheelhouse, or we make fun of how sometimes, like, what did I just watched with Cindy's video about the Haunting Adeline series or whatever, and she was laughing about how the hacker is said to have just like a big desk with lots of hacker tools, and we're just like, that's so funny because the author has no idea what hacking looks like. Like, sure, I also don't know what it's like to be a physicist at MIT, but Allie Hazelwood kind of sprinkles in that knowledge for us because she is a part of academia, and I really appreciate that. I loved that aspect and how she continuously puts forth those problems and talks about it and addresses them in a way that is accessible to people and in contemporary romances that the general public like and read. And so I think that's super important. So I love her books for that. With all that said, oh my God, that was a lot. Here come the official rankings, okay? In 6th place, no one is going to be surprised if you watch the whole vlog. Love on the Brain obviously comes in 6th place. For me personally, again, this is never a slight to people who like these books. This is just one gal's opinion on the internet. It does not mean more than anyone else's. If you like this book, I wish I did like this book. I was so infuriated, so frustrated with this book the entire time I was reading it. If B let Levi finish literally one sentence in the first 3/4 of the book, it would be a novella. The book would not exist because he would simply just address the miscommunication. She never let him finish the sentence. And then when he did talk, I feel like she literally wasn't listening to him. That's not hot to not be an active listener. B as a main character on her own though, I mean, of course, I respect her, especially, you know, I think this is the one where she's working at the NIH in conjunction with NASA. So she wrote about how like it's very frustrating when you're in a workplace, especially like a professional workplace where men don't listen to you because they underestimate you because you are the only woman in the room. Oh, that made me so mad. But the side characters, like these men, right, they only then respected B because Levi then told them off, or like, hey guys, like don't treat her like that. And then they were like, oh, sorry, Levi. And then they then kind of treated B better, but it's like, okay, wait, none of the side characters then were likable, or I literally hated all of them because she dealt with so much ignorance and blatant disrespect from all these men that she worked with. Her boss, her coworkers, literally none of them were nice to her, except for Levi. And then she didn't let Levi finish one sentence. Oh my God, you could just tell how I didn't like this book. I appreciated that there was a queer side romance at first, okay, but then they just kept making very obnoxiously sexual comments about that specific side romance to their coworkers. Why are you gonna make the one queer character you have obnoxiously annoying? Didn't like that. The villain in the 3rd act conflict, just outlandishly evil. Like I mentioned, there was one of these. I just found myself so confused as to how we got to where we did. And then just her galaxy leggings, simply unnecessary. 2 stars. In 5th place, we have Not in Love. Now, I'm really actually glad that I read Not in Love first, because I think if I ended up reading her backlog first, and I did like some of her books, and then I read Not in Love, I just feel like I would feel so disappointed by how different it was, in like not a good way though. So I'm glad I kind of got it out of the way first. Granted, she wrote in her author's note, or at the beginning, she made a disclaimer that it is an erotic romance instead of her typical rom-com. So at least she made it clear to the audience. But if you're gonna make it an erotica and then say that with your chest, why would you put then in the epilogue, why would you make their epilogue like a contemporary rom-com-y type of happy ending? Like they obviously had a very different storyline. So what is the point of making them be happy as if they are a contemporary rom-com couple? It just felt so out of place because we spent the entire book with them being very physically intimate. Again, fine, erotica. And then I need more emotional pull from these 2 characters for me to care about how they ended up at the end. But at first, you know, obviously, as you can tell from the vlog, it was very enjoyable. Eli was absolutely lusting over Rue, and I was like, oh, this is like great. And then the lusting just continued to happen, and it just got very repetitive and honestly kind of boring. You've already written so many scenes of this. I've already heard it. I don't know what else we're doing here, because there was also oddly like a real plot that was actually very intriguing to me. The whole workplace takeover, I was interested to know what was going to happen between Rue's boss and Eli's coworkers. It was a genuinely interesting workplace dynamic, so I had to get through the smut scenes. And I'm not like dogging smut. I actually do like reading smut, but it's when it's like, I did like how the side characters, they were really fun. They definitely added to the book, which I feel like not a lot of side characters of Ali Hazelwood's like actually have a purpose, so that's nice. Oh yeah, I also hate the magic thing. No, that deserves a star doc from me. The writing was objectively better than some of her other books, so just a 3 stars and we're moving on. And you know what is in 4th place? Love Hypothesis, which is the book that I didn't expect myself to put anywhere except for 6th. So the fact that it's higher is quite impressive. For a bit there while I was filming this video, I thought it might actually land in my top 3. So there are a lot of mixed emotions going on up here. Fake dating, 30-something professor, 20-something graduate student. Mind you, the graduate student, thank God, is not working at any capacity underneath said professor, or else there would have been some issues, right? She does indeed sit in his lap in an academic lecture setting, and if I was in her class, I would probably commit arson, but we just moved on. It's fine. I was quite frustrated with how Adam was portrayed because we were simply shown, no, we weren't. We were simply told about his good character and told about his good intentions rather than being shown it, because truthfully in his actions, there are no good intentions. He's just rude. When you hear him explain himself, I'm like, that's beautiful and I appreciate that. And I think mentorship in academia goes a long way, but when you're outright mean to them and your good intentions only come off when you're explicitly saying it, I'm like, does that even really... He could have been way nicer. I'll say it. His intentions are so good, so pure. He's such a good, respectable guy, especially with what he had to go through, what he learned from it. It sounds like he did a lot of self-reflection. Where's that self-reflection reflected in his behavior? I need more of that. Overall, whatever. Pretty enjoyable, very fast read. I think I'm gonna give this a 3 stars. Third, we have none other than Love Theoretically. It's solely for the fact that Elsie is so me-coded. She is so people-pleasing, hiding her personality to fit in, socially aware, but desperately clawing for human emotion, coded. I think I related most to Elsie as a character, and I think that's why when I was reading this book and I finished it and I didn't like the ending, why I was so much more upset than the other books is because I was genuinely rooting for her so badly, and I wanted her and Jack to work out the way that I thought they were going to work out in my head, and they just didn't. I don't think it was bad. I think it would have been so much better of a reading experience for me personally if I had liked the smut more. I found the career struggles and like the difficulty she was having with Jack being like the most out of her power. There were power dynamics at play, but it wasn't Jack at the top of the decisions, if that makes sense. Like he said he was the head of MIT or whatever, but really it wasn't in his power, and it was also not in her power. She literally couldn't have done anything, which I think I like how that kind of took the responsibility off my plate. I was like, okay, I can't even think about it. No one could have done anything. We're done with it type of feeling. Did I also give this 4 stars? 3 stars? I think I gave this 3 stars. Now, moving on from Love Theoretically. The reason why these all fall in the last 4 is because they truly follow the same formulaic story that got very, very old. They are not joking when they say that Ali Hazelwood writes same book, different font. There's always some kind of power imbalance between, typically it's a younger female, she's early in her career, or at least she is having career struggles, something is going wrong with her career, whereas the men, Adam, Levi, Eli, they're all very well established already. They found success on their own in the same field as their women partner, right? And I feel like that was quite a frustrating dynamic to read about because the men are always in a better place career-wise. So at the end of the book, happy ending, it's like, oh, perfect. Elsie doesn't have to worry about her dog apartment anymore because she's gonna move in with Eli in his penthouse. And it's like, that's not, what are we doing here? I wanted the women to be themselves, to complement someone else. I feel like with these 4 books, it's a lot of like, oh, perfect. You know what I mean? I need them to be like this, but it was like this. For those who are like doing dishes while listening to me or something and can't look at my screen, instead of like a high five type of situation where I want them to be, where there are 2 characters coming together who are perfectly like complementing or balancing one another, they are like gorilla gripping, mom, please don't leave me at the mall or else I'm gonna die here, like I cannot lose you, oh my god, my knuckles are turning white type of dynamic. They're very entangled between the 2, and I wish that identities were a little bit more separated. In second place, we have Bride. It was so refreshingly different that of course it lands in second place. Misery is a vampire, and then I don't even remember the guy's name, but he's a werewolf, and they're both well established. There's not necessarily a power dynamic between the 2. There is a forced marriage. Politics are at play, right? The werewolf's got his pack, and then Misery has lived a very independent or fairly independent life in the human realm. It was so nice seeing 2 equals, I think. Interesting, fun dynamics because, again, like vampires, werewolves, yes, there's a pack. Yes, the vampires have very different, not human-like characteristics. She doesn't really remind me too much of the other female main characters that we've been exposed to. And just overall, a fun whatever time. Like, they're all kind of fun whatever time. Don't take it too seriously. Just have fun with it. It was so fun. So Bride gets a 4 stars for me. Now, the book that got 5 stars for me, baby, is Check and Mate. It is probably one of my favorite young adult books. I think there are a mix of young adult, new adult themes in this book, but I think it's fine to call it a young adult. A little bit more new adulty than other young adults, but still. I loved this book. Mallory and Nolan are so well matched, and I know, funny, I made a pun because they're chess rivals, but they are so well matched intellectually. And yes, Mallory is kind of a newbie in the chess space, but skill wise, Nolan is intrigued by Mallory because she is better than him. She is better than him from the get-go, and that's what I need. That's what I need from Ali Hazelwood. Yes, the men are always down bad, but I need the women to be better than them as well. Like, they're always professors, they're always the department leader, they're always, I don't care. I need it to be switched, but not in a creepy way, because I do think that the love hypothesis age gap is like not great, and then she makes fun of it in the book. It's like, oh, like old man. I'm like, oh, it makes me kind of uncomfortable. Moving on. Check and Mate. Check and Mate is a breath of fresh air because they're both so intellectually on par with one another. You just cannot help but root for them. Maybe it's the sport lover in me. Maybe it's the competitor. I love watching sports. I love rivalries. I think that aspect of the book makes it so, it just adds a different layer. Ali Hazelwood's books are already fun to read, but then you add an intellectual sport rivalry, almost on par with like an academic rivals to lovers. Plus Ali Hazelwood's very addictive, fun writing, fast-paced element. Like, it's by far, in my opinion, her best book. The characters are great. Granted, I wish we got a little bit more from Nolan as a guy instead of a love interest. However, I'll take what I can get, babes. I think he was perfect for her. I loved getting to know Mallory. I loved her as a character. And I think I also really love Mallory having a woman to look up to in a male-dominated field, making that mentor quite a strong one. Third act conflict, didn't love. Ooh, great, my battery died. Don't know where I left off. I think this is a sign that I should wrap it up. Check and Mate, 5-star read for me, like so solid. I had such a good time. I will stand on that recommendation. Whereas the other ones, I'm like, yeah, read it or don't read it. I just talked a lot. How do we feel? How are my rankings compared to yours? I would love to hear what you think about her books as well. Overall, again, I think she's doing something great by writing about women in STEM as the forefront and talking about issues that women in STEM specifically are facing in their career. I think it's important. And I read 6 in like a week and a half, so I can attest to the fact that they're very readable, and you can binge them. Thank you for watching this vlog. I think it will be quite long. And let me know what you think about this style of vlog as well. I'm very interested to know that. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye.